Act 4 of The Good-Natured Man. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Good-Natured Man by Oliver Goldsmith. Act 4. Scene: Croker's house. Enter Lofty.
Well, sure the devil's in me of late for running my head into such defiles as nothing but a genius like my own could draw me from. I was formerly contented to husband out of my places and pensions with some degree of frugality, but, curse it, of late I have given away the whole court register in less time than they could print the title page. Yet, hang it, why scruple a lie or two to come at a fine girl, when I every day tell 1,000 for nothing? Ha! Honeywood here before me. Could Miss Richland have set him at liberty?
Enter Honeywood.
Mr. Honeywood, I'm glad to see you abroad again. I find my concurrence was not necessary in your unfortunate affairs. I had put things in a train to do your business, but it is not for me to say what I intended doing.
It was most unfortunate indeed, sir. But what adds to my uneasiness is that, while you seem to be acquainted with my misfortune, I myself continue still a stranger to my benefactor.
How? Not know the friend that served you?
Can't guess at the person.
Inquire.
I have, but all I can learn is that he chooses to remain concealed, and that all inquiry must be fruitless.
Must be fruitless?
Absolutely fruitless.
Sure of that?
Very sure.
Then I'll be damned if you shall ever know it from me.
How, sir?
I suppose, now, Mr. Honeywood, you think my rent roll very considerable, and that I have vast sums of money to throw away. I know you do. The world, to be sure, says such things of me.
The world, by what I learn, is no stranger to your generosity. But where does this tend?
To nothing. Nothing in the world. The town, to be sure, when it makes such a thing as me the subject of conversation, has asserted that I never yet patronized a man of merit.
I have heard instances to the contrary, even from yourself.
Yes, Honeywood, and there are instances to the contrary that you shall never hear from myself.
Dear sir, permit me to ask you but one question.
Sir, ask me no questions. I say, sir, ask me no questions. I'll be damned if I answer them.
I will ask no further. My friend, my benefactor, it must be here, that I am indebted for freedom, for honor. Yes, thou worthiest of men, from the beginning I suspected it, but was afraid to return thanks, which, if undeserved, might seem reproaches.
I protest I do not understand all of this, Mr. Honeywood. You treat me very cavalierly. I do assure you, Sir Blood. Sir, can't a man be permitted to enjoy the luxury of his own feelings without all this parade?
Nay, do not attempt to conceal an action that adds to your honor, your looks, your air, your manner. I'll confess it.
Confess it, sir? Torture itself, sir, shall never bring me to confess it. Mr. Honeywood, I have admitted you upon terms of friendship. Don't let us fall out. Make me happy, and let this be buried in oblivion. You know I hate ostentation. You know I do. Come, Honeywood. You know I always loved to be a friend, and not a patron. I beg this may make no kind of distance between us. Come, you and I must be more familiar. Indeed, we must.
Heavens, can I ever repay such friendship? Is there any way? Thou best of men, can I ever return the obligation?
A bagatelle, a mere bagatelle. But I see your heart is laboring to be grateful. You shall be grateful. It would be cruel to disappoint you.
How? Teach me the manner. Is there any way?
From this moment, you're mine. Yes, my friend, you shall know it. I'm in love.
And can I assist you?
Nobody so well.
In what manner? I'm all impatience.
You shall make love for me.
And to whom shall I speak in your favor?
To a lady with whom you have great interest, I assure you. Miss Richland.
Miss Richland?
Yes, Miss Richland. She has struck the blow up to the hilt in my bosom, by Jupiter.
Heavens, was there anything more unfortunate? It is too much to be endured.
Unfortunate, indeed, and yet I can endure it, till you have opened the affair to her for me. Between ourselves, I think she likes me. I'm not apt to boast, but I think she does.
Indeed, but do you know the person you apply to?
Yes, I know you are her friend and mine. That's enough. To you, therefore, I commit the success of my passion. I'll say no more. Let friendship do the rest. I have only to add that if at any time my little interest can be of service, but hang it, I'll make no promises. You know my interest is yours at any time. No apologies, my friend. I'll not be answered. It shall be so.
Exit.
Open, generous, unsuspecting man. He little thinks that I love her too, and with such an ardent passion. But then it was ever but a vain and hopeless one. My torment, my persecution. What shall I do? Love, friendship, a hopeless passion, a deserving friend? Love that has been my tormentor, a friend that has, perhaps, distressed himself to serve me. It shall be so. Yes, I will discard the fondling from my bosom, and exert all my influence in his favor. And yet to see her in the possession of another! Insupportable! But then to betray a generous, trusting friend? Worse, worse! Yes, I'm resolved. Let me but be the instrument of their happiness, and then quit a country where I must forever despair of finding my own.
Exit. Enter Olivia and Garnet, who carries a milliner's box.
Dear me, I wish this journey was over. No news of Jarvis yet. I believe the old peevish creature delays purely to vex me.
Why, to be sure, madam, I did hear him say a little snubbing before marriage would teach you to bear it the better afterwards.
To be gone a full hour, though he had only to get a bill changed in the city. How provoking.
I lay my life, Mr. Leontine, that had twice as much to do, is setting off by this time from his inn, and here you are left behind.
Well, let us be prepared for his coming, however. Are you sure you have omitted nothing, Garnet?
Not a stick, madam. All's here. Yet I wish that you could take the white and silver to be married in. It's the worst luck in the world, in anything but white. I knew one Bet Stubbs, of our town, that was married in red, and as sure as eggs is eggs. The bridegroom and she had a miff before morning.
No matter. I'm all impatience till we are out of the house.
Bless me, madam, I had almost forgotten the wedding ring. The sweet little thing. I don't think it would go on my little finger. And what if I put in a gentleman's nightcap, in case of necessity, madam? But here's Jarvis.
Enter Jarvis.
Oh, Jarvis, are you come at last? We have been ready this half hour. Now let's be going. Let us fly.
Ay, to Jericho, for we shall have no going to Scotland this bout, I fancy.
How? What's the matter?
Money is the matter, madam. We have got no money. What the plague do you send me out of your fool's errand for? My master's bill upon the city is not worth a rush. Here it is. Mrs. Garnet may pin up her hair with it.
Undone! How could Honeywood serve us so? What shall we do? Can't we go without it?
Go to Scotland without money. To Scotland without money! Lord, how some people understand geography. We might as well set sail for Patagonia upon a cork jacket.
Such a disappointment! What a base, insincere man was your master, to serve us in this manner! Is this his good nature?
Nay, don't talk ill of my master, madam. I won't bear to hear anybody talk ill of him but myself.
Bless us! Now I think on't, madam, you need not be under any uneasiness. I saw Mr. Leontine receive 40 guineas from his father just before he set out, and he can't have left the inn. A short letter will reach him there.
Well remembered, Garnet. I'll write immediately. How's this? Bless me, my hand trembles so I can't write a word. Do you write, Garnet, and upon second thought, it will be better from you.
Truly, madam, I write and indite but poorly. I never was cute at my learning. But I'll do what I can to please you. Let me see. All out of my own head, I suppose.
Whatever you please.
Writing.
Master Croker, 20 guineas, madam?
Aye, 20 will do.
At a bar of the Talbot till called for. Expedition will be blown up. All of a flame. Quick dispatch. Cupid the little god of love. I conclude it, madam, with Cupid. I love to see a love letter, and like poetry.
Well, well, what you please, anything. But how shall we send it? I can trust none of the servants of this family.
Odd so, madam. Mr. Honeywood's butler is in the next room. He's a dear, sweet man. He'll do anything for me.
He, the dog, he'll certainly commit some blunder. He's drunk and sober 10 times a day.
No matter. Fly, Garnet. Anybody we can trust will do.
Exit Garnet.
Well, Jarvis, now we can have nothing more to interrupt us. You may take up the things, and carry them on to the inn. Have you no hands, Jarvis?
Soft and fair, young lady. You that are going to be married think things can never be done too fast. But we that are old and know what we are about must elope methodically, madam.
Well, sure, if my indiscretions were to be done over again.
My life for it, you would do them 10 times over.
Why will you talk so? If you knew how unhappy they make me.
Very unhappy, no doubt. I was once just as unhappy when I was going to be married myself. I'll tell you a story about that.
A story, when I'm all impatience to be away. Was there ever such a dilatory creature?
Well, madam, if we must march, why, we will march. That's all. Though, odd bobs, we have still forgot one thing we should never travel without. A case of good razors and a box of shaving powder. But no matter. I believe we shall be pretty well shaved by the way.
Going. Enter Garnet.
Undone, undone, madam. Ah, Mr. Jarvis, you said right enough. As sure as death, Mr. Honeywood's rogue of a drunken butler dropped the letter before he went 10 yards from the door. There's old Croker has just picked it up, and is this moment reading it to himself in the hall.
Unfortunate. We shall be discovered.
No, madam, don't be uneasy. He can neither make head nor tail of it. To be sure, he looks as if he was broke loose from Bedlam about it, but he can't find what it means for all that. Oh, Lud, he is coming this way all in the horrors.
Then let us leave the house this instant, for fear he should ask further questions. In the meantime, Garnet, do you write and send off just such another.
Exeunt. Enter Croker.
Death and destruction are all the horrors of air, fire, and water, to be levelled only at me. Am I only to be singled out for gunpowder plots, combustibles, and conflagration? Here it is, an incendiary letter dropped at my door. To Master Croker, these with speed. Aye, aye, plain enough the direction. All in the genuine incendiary spelling, and as cramp as the devil. With speed? Oh, confound your speed! But let me read it once more.
Reads.
Master Croker, as soon as you have seen this, leave 20 guns at the bar of Talbot till called for, or you and your expiration will be all blown up. Ha! But too plain. Blood and gunpowder in every line of it. Blown up? Murderous dog! All blown up! Heavens! What have I and my poor family done to be all blown up?
Reads.
Our pockets are low, and money we must have. Aye, that's the reason. They'll blow us up because they've got low pockets.
Reeds,
It is but a short time you have to consider, for if this takes the wind, the house will quickly be all of a flame. Inhuman monsters! Blow us up and then burn us? The earthquake at Lisbon was but a bonfire to it.
reeds,
Make quick dispatch, and so no more at present. But may Cupid, the little god of love, go with you wherever you go. The little god of love? Cupid, the little god of love? Go with me? Go you to the devil, you and your little Cupid together. I am so frightened. I scarce know whether I sit, stand, or go. Perhaps this moment I am treading on lighted matches, blazing brimstone, and barrels of gunpowder. They are preparing to blow me up into the clouds. Murder! We shall be all burnt in our beds. We shall be all burnt in our beds.
enter Miss Richland.
Lord, sir, what's the matter?
Murder's the matter? We shall be all blown up in our beds before morning.
I hope not, sir.
What signifies what you hope, madam, when I have certificate of it here in my hand? Will nothing alarm my family? Sleeping and eating is the only work from morning till night in my house. My insensible crew would sleep though rocked by an earthquake, and fry beefsteaks at a volcano.
But, sir, you have alarmed them so often already. We have nothing but earthquakes, famines, plagues, and mad dogs from year's end to year's end. You remember, sir, it is not above a month ago. You assured us of a conspiracy amongst the bakers to poison us in our bread, and so kept the whole family a week upon potatoes.
And potatoes were too good for them. But why do I stand talking here with a girl when I should be facing the enemy without? Here, John, Nicodemus, search the house. Look into the cellars to see if there be any combustibles below. And above, in the apartments, let no matches be thrown in at the windows. Let all the fires be put out, and let the engine be drawn out into the yard to play upon the house in case of necessity.
Exit. Alone.
What can he mean by all this? Yet, why should I inquire when he alarms us in this manner almost every day? But Honeywood has desired an interview with me in private. What can he mean? Or rather, what means this palpitation at his approach? It is the first time he ever showed anything in his conduct that seems peculiar. I'm sure he cannot mean to. But he's here.
Enter Honeywood.
I presumed to solicit this interview, madam, before I left town, to be permitted.
Indeed. Leaving town, sir?
Yes, madam, perhaps the kingdom. I have presumed, I say, to desire the favour of this interview, in order to disclose something which our long friendship prompts, and yet my fears.
Aside.
His fears? What are his fears to mine? We have, indeed, been so long acquainted, sir. Very long. If I remember, our first meeting was at the French ambassador's. I do recollect how you were pleased to rally me upon my complexion there.
Perfectly, madam. I presumed to reprove you for painting, but your warmer blushes soon convinced the company that the colouring was all from nature.
And yet you only meant it, in your good-natured way, to make me a compliment to myself. In the same manner, you danced that night with the most awkward woman in company, because you saw nobody else who would take her out.
Yes, and was rewarded the next night, by dancing with the finest woman in company, whom everybody wished to take out.
Well, sir, if you thought so then, I fear your judgment has since corrected the errors of the first impression. We generally show to most advantage at first. Our sex are like poor tradesmen, that pull all our best goods to be seen at the window.
The first impression, madam, did indeed deceive me. I expected to find a woman with all the faults of conscious flattered beauty. I expected to find her vain and insolent. But every day has since taught me that it is possible to possess sense without pride, and beauty without affectation.
This, sir, is a style very unusual with Mr. Honeywood, and I should be glad to know why he thus attempts to increase the vanity which his own lessons have taught me to despise.
I ask pardon, madam, yet from our long friendship I presumed I might have some right to offer, without offence, what you may refuse without offending.
Sir, I beg you to reflect. though I fear I shall scarce have any power to refuse a request of yours. Yet you may be precipitate. Consider, sir.
I own my rashness, but as I plead the cause of friendship, of one who loves, don't be alarmed, madam, who loves you with the most ardent passion, whose happiness is placed in you.
I fear, sir, I shall never find whom you mean by this description of him.
Ah, madam, but it too plainly points him out, though he should be too humble himself to urge his pretensions, or you too modest to understand them.
Well, it would be affection any longer to pretend ignorance, and I will own, sir, that I have long been prejudiced in his favour. It was but natural to wish to make his heart mine, and he seemed against the ignorance of its value.
Aside.
I see she has always loved him. I find, madam, you're already sensible of his worth, his passion. How happy is my friend to be the favourite of one with such sense to distinguish merit, and such beauty to reward it.
Your friend, sir? What friend?
My best friend, my friend, Mr. Lofty, madam.
He, sir?
Yes, he, madam. He is indeed what your warmest wishes might have formed him, and to his other qualities he adds that of the most passionate regard for you.
Amazement. No more of this, I beg you, sir.
I see your confusion, madam, and know how to interpret it, and since I so plainly read the language of your heart, shall I make my friend happy by communicating your sentiments?
By no means.
Excuse me, I must. I know you desire it.
Mr. Honeywood, let me tell you that you are wrong with my sentiments and yourself. When I first applied to your friendship, I expected advice and assistance. But now, sir, I see it is in vain to accept happiness from him who has been so bad an economist of his own, and that I should disdain his friendship who ceases to be a friend himself.
Exit.
How is this? She has confessed she loved him, and yet she seemed to pardon displeasure. Can I have done anything to reproach myself with? No, I believe not. Yet, after all, these things should not be done by a third person. I should have spared her confusion. My friendship carried me a little too far.
Enter Croker, with the letter in his hand, and Mrs. Croker.
Ha ha ha! And so, my dear, it's your supreme wish that I should be quite wretched upon this occasion. Ha ha!
Mimicking.
Ha ha ha! And so, my dear, it's your supreme pleasure to give me no better consolation?
Positively, my dear. What is this incendiary stuff and trumpery to me? Our house may travel through the air like the house of Loretto, for aught I care, if I am to be miserable in it.
Would to heaven it be converted into a house of correction for your benefit! Have we not everything to alarm us? Perhaps this very moment the tragedy is beginning.
Then let us reserve our distress till the rising of the curtain, or give them the money they want and have done with them.
Give them my money? And pray, what right have they to my money?
And pray, what right then have you to my good humour?
And so your good humour advises me to part with my money? Why then, to tell your good humour a piece of my mind, I would sooner part with my wife. Here's Mr. Honeywood, see what you will say to it. My dear Honeywood, look at this incendiary letter dropped at my door. It will freeze you with terror, and yet Lovey here can read it and laugh.
Yes, and so will Mr. Honeywood.
If he does, I will suffer to be hanged the next minute in the rogue's place. That's all.
Speak, Mr. Honeywood. Is there anything more foolish than my husband's fright upon this occasion?
It would not become me to decide, madam, but doubtless the greatness of his terrors now will but invite them to renew their villainy another time.
I told you he'd be of my opinion.
How, sir, do you maintain that I should lie down under such an injury, and show neither my tears nor complaints, that I have something of spirit of a man in me?
Pardon me, sir, you ought to make the loudest complaints if you desire redress. The surest way to have redress is to be earnest in the pursuit of it.
Hi, whose opinion is he of now?
But don't you think that laughing off our fears is the best way?
What is the best, madam, few can say, but I'll maintain it to be a very wise way.
But we are talking of the best. Surely the best way is to face the enemy in the field, and not wait till he plunders us in our own bedchamber.
Why, sir, as to the best, that's a very wise way too.
But can anything be more absurd than to double our distresses by our apprehensions, and put it in the power of every low fellow that can scrawl 10 words of wretched spelling to torment us?
Without doubt, nothing more absurd.
How would it not be more absurd to despise the rattle till we are bit by the snake?
Without doubt, perfectly absurd.
Then you are of my opinion.
Entirely.
And you reject mine?
Heavens forbid, madam. No, sure, no reasoning can be more just than yours. We ought certainly to despise malice if we cannot oppose it, and not make the incendiary's pen as fatal to our repose as the highwayman's pistol.
Oh, then you think I'm quite right?
Perfectly right.
A plague of plagues. We can't be both right. I ought to be sorry. I ought to be glad. My hat must be on my head, or my hat must be off.
Certainly in two opposite opinions, if one be perfectly reasonable, the other can't be perfectly right.
And why may not both be right, madam? Mr. Croker in earnestly seeking redress, and you in waiting the event with good humour? Pray, let me see the letter again. I have it. This letter requires 20 guineas to be left at the bar of the Talbot Inn. If it be indeed an incendiary letter, what if you and I, sir, go there, and when the writer comes to be paid of his expected booty, seize him?
My dear friend, it's the very thing, the very thing. While I walk by the door, you shall plant yourself in ambush near the bar, burst out upon the miscreant like a masked battery, extort a confession at once, and so hang him up by surprise.
Yes, but I would not choose to exercise too much severity. It is my maxim, sir, that crimes generally punish themselves.
Well, but we may upbraid him a little, I suppose.
Aye, but not punish him too rigidly.
Well, leave it to my own benevolence.
Well, I do, but remember that universal benevolence is the first law of nature.
Exeunt Honeywood and Mrs. Croker.
Yes, and my universal benevolence will hang the dog if he had as many necks as a hydra.
End of Act 4. Act 5 of The Good-Natured Man. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Good-Natured Man by Oliver Goldsmith. Act 5. Scene: an inn. Enter Olivia and Jarvis.
Well, we have got safe to the inn, however. Now if the post-chaise were ready.
The horses are just finishing their oats, and as they are not going to be married, they choose to take their own time.
You are forever giving wrong motives to my impatience.
Be as impatient as you will, the horses must take their own time. Besides, you don't consider we have got no answer from our fellow traveller yet. If we hear nothing from Mr. Leontine, we have only one way left us.
What way?
The way home again.
Not so. I have made a resolution to go, and nothing shall induce me to break it.
Aye, resolutions are well kept when they jump with inclination. However, I'll go hasten things without, and I'll call too at the bar to see if anything should be left for us there. Don't be in such a plaguy hurry, madam, and we shall go the faster, I promise you.
Exit Jarvis. Enter Landlady.
What? Solomon, why don't you move? Pipes and tobacco for the lamb there. Will nobody answer? To the Dolphin, quick! The Angel has been outrageous this half hour. Did your ladyship call, madam?
No, madam.
I find as you're for Scotland, madam. But that's no business of mine. Married or not married, I ask no questions. To be sure, we had a sweet little couple set off from this 2 days ago for the same place. The gentleman, for a tailor, was to be sure as fine a spoken tailor as ever blew froth from a full pot. And the young lady so bashful, it was near half an hour before we could get her to finish a pint of raspberry between us.
This gentleman and I are not going to be married, I assure you.
Maybe not. That's no business of mine. For certain Scotch marriages seldom turn out well. There was, of my own knowledge, Miss McFagg that married her father's footman. Alack a day, she and her husband soon parted, and now keep separate cellars in Hedge Lane.
Aside.
A very pretty picture of what lies before me.
Enter Leontine.
My dear Olivia, my anxiety till you were out of danger was too great to be resisted. I could not help coming to see you set out, though it exposes us to discovery.
May everything you do prove as fortunate. Indeed, Leontine, we have been most cruelly disappointed. Mr. Honeywood's bill upon the city has, it seems, been protested, and we have been utterly at a loss how to proceed.
How? An offer of his own, too. Sure he could not mean to deceive us.
Depend upon his sincerity. He only mistook the desire for the power of serving us. But let us think no more of it. I believe the post-chaise is ready by this.
Not quite yet, and begging your ladyship's pardon, I don't think your ladyship quite ready for the post-chaise. The North Road is a cold place, madam. I have a drop in the house of as pretty a raspberry as ever was tipped over tongue. Just a thimbleful to keep the wind off your stomach. To be sure, the last couple we had here, they said it was a perfect nosegay. Ecod, sent them both away as good-natured. Up went the blinds, round went the wheels, and drive away, post-boy, was the word.
Enter Croker.
Well, while my friend Honeywood is upon the post of danger at the bar, it must be my business to have an eyes upon about me here. I think I know an incendiary's look, for wherever the devil makes a purchase, he never fails to set his mark. Ha! Who have we here? My son and daughter? What can they be doing here?
I tell you, madam, it will do you good. I think I know by this time what's good for the North Road. It's a raw night, madam. Sir?
Not a drop more, good madam. I should now take it as a greater favour if you hasten the horses, for I am afraid to be seen myself.
That shall be done. Why, Solomon, are you all dead there? What Solomon, I say?
Exit, bawling.
Well, I dread lest an expedition, begun in fear, should end in repentance. Every moment we stay increases our danger, and adds to my apprehensions.
There's no danger. Trust me, my dear. There can be none. If Honeywood has acted with honour and kept my father as he promised in employment till we are out of danger, nothing can interrupt our journey.
I have no doubt of Mr. Honeywood's sincerity, and even his desires to serve us. My fears are from your father's suspicions. A mind so disposed to be alarmed without a cause will be but too ready when there's a reason.
Why, let him, when we are out of his power. But believe me, Olivia, you have no great reason to dread his resentment. His repining temper, as it does no matter of injury to himself, so will it never do harm to others. He only frets to keep himself employed, and scolds for his private amusement.
I don't know that, but I'm sure on some occasions it makes him look most shockingly.
Discovering himself.
How does he look now? How does he look now?
Ah!
Undone!
How do I look? Sir, I am your very humble servant. Madam, I am yours. What? You're going off, are you? Then, first, if you please, take a word or two from me with you before you go. Tell me first where you are going, and when you have told me that, perhaps I shall know as little as I did before.
If that be so, our answer might but increase your displeasure without adding to your information.
I want no information from you, puppy. And you too, good madam, what answer have you got? Hey!
A cry without. Stop him!
I think I heard a noise. My friend Honeywood without. Has he seized the incendiary? Ha, no, for now I hear no more on it.
Honeywood without? Then, sir, it was Mr. Honeywood that directed you hither?
No, sir, it was Mr. Honeywood conducted me hither.
Is it possible?
Possible? Why, he is in the house now, sir. More anxious about me than my own son, sir.
Then, sir, he's a villain.
How, sirrah? A villain? Because he takes most care of your father? I'll not bear it. I'll tell you I'll not bear it. Honeywood is a friend to the family, and I will have him treated as such.
I shall study to repay his friendship as it deserves.
Ha, rogue! If you knew how earnestly he entered into my griefs, and pointed out the means to detect them, you would love him as I do.
A cry without. Stop him!
Fire and fury! They have seized the incendiary. They have the villain, the incendiary in view. Stop him! Stop an incendiary! A murderer! Stop him!
Exit.
Oh, my terrors! What can this tumult mean?
Some new mark, I suppose, of Mr. Honeywood's sincerity. But we shall have satisfaction. He shall give me instant satisfaction.
It must not be, my Leontine. If you value my esteem, or my happiness, whatever be our fate, let us not add guilt to our misfortunes. Consider that our innocence will shortly be all that we have left us. You must forgive him.
Forgive him? Has he not in every instance betrayed us? Forced me to borrow money from him, which appears a mere trick to delay us? Promised to keep my father engaged till we were out of danger, and here brought him to the very scene of our escape?
Don't be precipitate. We may yet be mistaken.
Enter postboy, dragging in Jarvis, Honeywood entering soon after.
Aye, master, we have him fast enough. Here is the incendiary dog. I'm entitled to the reward. I'll take my oath I saw him ask for the money at the bar, and then run for it.
Come, bring him along. Let us see him. Let him learn to blush for his crimes.
Discovering his mistake.
Death, what's here? Jarvis, Leontine, Olivia, what can all this mean?
Why, I'll tell you what it means. That I was an old fool, and that you are my master. That's all.
Confusion.
Yes, sir, I find you have kept your word with me. After such baseness, I wonder how you can venture to see the man you have injured.
My dear Leontine, by my life, my honor.
Peace, peace for shame, and do not continue to aggravate baseness by hypocrisy. I know you, sir, I know you.
Why won't you hear me? By all that's just, I knew not.
Hear you, sir? To what purpose? I now see through all your low arts. You're ever complying with every opinion. You're never refusing any request. Your friendship is common as a prostitute's favors, and is fallacious. All these, sir, have long been contemptible to the world, and are now perfectly so to me.
Aside.
Contemptible to the world? That reaches me.
All the seeming sincerity of your professions, I now find, were only allurements to betray, and all your seeming regret for their consequences only calculated to cover the cowardice of your heart. Draw, villain.
Enter Croker, out of breath.
Where's the villain? Where's the incendiary?
Seizing the postboy.
Hold him fast, the dog. He has the gallows in his face. Come, you dog, confess. Confess all, and hang yourself.
Zounds, master, what do you throttle me for?
Beating him.
Dog, do you resist? Do you resist?
Zounds, master, I'm not he. There's the man we thought was the rogue, and turns out to be one of the company.
How?
Mr. Croker, we have all been under a strange mistake here. I find there is nobody guilty. It was all an error. Entirely an error of our own.
And I say, sir, that you are in an error, for there is a guilt and double guilt. A plot, a damned Jesuitical, pestilential plot, and I must have proof of it.
Do but hear me.
What, you intend to bring them off, I suppose? I'll hear nothing.
Madam, you seem at least calm enough to hear reason.
Excuse me.
Good Jarvis, let me then explain it to you.
What signifies explanations when the thing is done?
Will nobody hear me? Was there ever such a set so blinded by passion and prejudice?
To the postboy.
My good friend, I believe you'll be surprised when I assure you.
Sure me nothing. I'm sure of nothing but a good beating.
Come then, you madam, if you ever hope for any favour of forgiveness, tell me sincerely all you know of this affair.
Unhappily, sir, I'm but too much the cause of your suspicions. You see before you, sir, one that with false pretences has stepped into your family to betray it. Not your daughter.
Not my daughter?
Not your daughter, but a mean deceiver, who, support me, I cannot.
Help, she's going. Give her air.
Hi, take the young woman to the air. I could not hurt a hair of her head, whosever daughter she may be. Not so bad as that neither.
Exeunt, all but Croker.
Yes, all's out. I now see the whole affair. My son is either married or going to be so to this lady whom he imposed upon me as his sister. Aye, certainly so, and yet I don't find it afflicts me so much as one might think. There is the advantage of fretting away our misfortunes beforehand. We never feel them when they come.
Enter Miss Richland and Sir William.
But how do you know, madam, that my nephew intends setting off from this place?
My maid assured me he has come to this inn, and my own knowledge of his intending to leave my kingdom suggests the rest. But what do I see? My guardian here before us. Who, my dear sir, could have expected meeting you here? And what accident do we owe this pleasure?
To a fool, I believe.
But to what purpose did you come?
To play the fool.
But with who?
With greater fools than myself.
Explain.
Why, Mr. Honeywood brought me here to do nothing now I am here. And my son is going to be married to I don't know who that is here. So now you are as wise as I am.
Married? To whom, sir?
To Olivia, my daughter, as I took her to be. But who the devil she is, or whose daughter she is, I know no more than the man in the moon.
Then, sir, I can inform you, and though a stranger, yet you shall find me a friend to your family. It will be enough at present to assure you that both in point of birth and fortune the young lady is at least your son's equal, being left by her father, Sir James Woodville.
Sir James Woodville? What, of the West?
Being left by him, I say, to the care of a mercenary wench, whose only aim was to secure her fortune to himself, she was sent to France, under the pretence of education, and there every art was tried to fix her for life in a convent, contrary to her inclinations. Of this I was informed upon my arrival at Paris, and, as I had been once her father's friend, I did all in my power to frustrate her guardian's base intentions. I had even meditated to rescue her from his authority, when your son stepped in with more pleasing violence, gave her liberty, and you a daughter.
But I intend to have a daughter of my own choosing, sir. A young lady, sir, whose fortune, by my interest with those who have interest, will be double what my son has a right to expect. Do you know Mr. Lofty, sir?
Yes, sir, and know that you are deceived in him. But step this way, and I'll convince you.
Croker and Sir William seem to confer. Enter Honeywood.
Obstinate man, still to persist in his outrage. Insulted by him, despised by all, I now begin to grow contemptible even to myself. How have I sunk by too great an assiduity to please? How have I overtaxed all my abilities, lest the approbation of a single fool should escape me? But all is now over. I have survived my reputation, my fortune, my friendships, and nothing remains henceforth for me but solitude and repentance.
Is it true, Mr. Hollywood, that you are setting off without taking leave of your friends? The report is that you are quitting England. Can it be?
Yes, madam, and though I am so unhappy as to have fallen under your displeasure, yet, thank heaven, I leave you to happiness, to one who loves you and deserves your love, to one who has power to procure you affluence, and generosity to improve your enjoyment of it.
And are you sure, sir, that this gentleman you mean is what you describe him?
I have the best assurances of it, his serving me. He does indeed deserve the highest happiness, and that is in your power to confer. As for me, weak and wavering as I have been, obliged by all, and incapable of serving any, what happiness can I find but in solitude? What hope but in being forgotten?
1,000! To live among friends that esteem you, whose happiness it will be to be permitted to oblige you.
No, madam, my resolution is fixed. Inferiority among strangers is easy, but among those that were once equals, insupportable. Nay, to show how far my resolution can go, I can now speak with calmness of my former follies, my vanity, my dissipation, my weakness. I will even confess that, among the number of my other presumptions, I had the insolence to think of loving you. Yes, madam, while I was pleading the passion of another, my heart was tortured with its own. But it is over. It was unworthy our friendship, and let it be forgotten.
You amaze me.
But you'll forgive it, I know you will, since the confession should not have come from me even now, but to convince you of the sincerity of my intention of never mentioning it more.
Going.
Stay, sir, one moment. Ha! He here.
Enter Lofty.
Is the coast clear? None but friends? I have followed you here with a trifling piece of intelligence, but it goes no farther. things are not yet ripe for a discovery. I have spirits working at a certain board. Your affair at the Treasury will be done in less than 1,000 years. Mum.
Sooner, sir, I should hope.
Why, yes, I believe it may, if it falls into proper hands that know where to push and where to parry, that know how the land lies. Eh, Honeywood?
It has fallen into yours.
Well, to keep you no longer in suspense, your thing is done. It is done, I say, that's all. I have just had assurances from Lord Neverout that the claim has been examined and found admissible. Quietus is the word, madam.
But how? His lordship has been at Newmarket these 10 days.
Indeed. Then Sir Gilbert Goose must have been most damnably mistaken. I had it of him.
He? Why, Sir Gilbert and his family have been in the country this month.
This month? It must certainly be so. Sir Gilbert's letter did come to me from Newmarket, so that he must have met his lordship there, and so it came about. I have his letter about me. I'll read it to you.
Taking out a large bundle.
That's from Paoli of Corsica. That from Marquis of Squillaci. Have you a mind to see a letter from Count Poniatowski, now King of Poland? Honest pawn.
Searching.
Oh, sir, what, are you here too? I'll tell you what, honest friend, if you have not absolutely delivered my letter to Sir William Honeywood, you may return it. The thing will do without him.
Sir, I have delivered it, and must inform you it was received with the most mortifying contempt.
Contempt? Mr. Lofty, what can that mean?
Let him go on. Let him go on. You'll find it come to something presently.
Yes, sir. I believe you'll be amazed if, after waiting some time in the antechamber, after being surveyed with insolent curiosity by the passing servants, I was at last assured that Sir William Honeywood knew no such a person, and I must certainly have been imposed upon.
Good. Let me die. Very good.
Now, for my life, I can't find out half the goodness of it.
You can't?
No, for the soul of me. I think it was as confounded a bad answer as ever was sent from one private gentleman to another.
And so you can't find out the force of the message? Why, I was in the house at that very time. It was I that sent that very answer to my own letter.
Indeed? How? Why?
In one word, things between Sir William and me must be behind the curtain. A party has many eyes. He sides with Lord Buzzard, I side with Sir Gilbert Goose, so that unriddles the mystery.
And so it does, indeed. And all my suspicions are over.
Your suspicions? What, then you have been suspecting? You have been suspecting, have you? Mr. Croker, you and I were friends. We are friends no longer. Never talk to me. It's over. I say, it's over.
As I hope for your favour, I did not mean to offend. It escaped me. Don't be discomposed.
Zounds, sir, but I am discomposed, and will be discomposed, to be treated thus. Who am I? Was it for this I have been dreaded both by ins and outs? Have I been libelled in the Gazetteer, and praised in the St. James? Have I been chaired at Wildman's, and a speaker at Merchant Taylor's Hall? Have I had my hand to addresses, and my head in the print shops? And talk to me of suspects?
My dear sir, be pacified. What can you have but asking pardon?
Sir, I will not be pacified. Suspects! Who am I, to be used thus? Have I paid court to men in favour to serve my friends, the Lords of the Treasury, Sir William Honeywood, and the rest of the gang, and talk to me of suspects? Who am I? I say, who am I?
Since you're so pressing for an answer, I'll tell you who you are. A gentleman as well acquainted with politics as with men in power, as well acquainted with persons of fashion as with modesty, with lords of the treasury as with truth, and with all as you are with Sir William Honeywood. I am Sir William Honeywood.
Discovering his ensigns of the Bath.
Sir William Honeywood?
Aside.
Astonishment, my uncle?
So, then, my confounded genius has been all this time only leading me up to the garret in order to fling me out of the window.
What, Mr. Importance, and are these your works? Suspect you, you who have been dreaded by the ins and outs, you who have had your aunt to addresses, and your head stuck up in print shops? If you were served right, you should have your head stuck up in the pillory.
Ay, stick it where you will, for by the Lord, it cuts a very poor figure where it sticks at present.
Well, Mr. Croker, I hope you now see how incapable this gentleman is of serving you, and how little Miss Richland has to expect from his influence.
Ay, sir, too well I see it, and I can't but say I have had more boarding of it these 10 days. So I am resolved, since my son has placed his affections on a lady of moderate fortune, to be satisfied with his choice, and not to run the hazard of another Mr. Lofty in helping him to a better.
I approve your resolution, and here they come to receive a confirmation of your pardon and consent.
Enter Mrs. Croker, Jarvis, Leontine, and Olivia.
Where's my husband? Come, come, lover, you must forgive them. Jarvis here has been to tell me the whole affair, and I say you must forgive them. Our own was a stolen match, you know, my dear, and we never had any reason to repent of it.
I wish we could both say so. However, this gentleman, Sir William Honeywood, has been beforehand with you in obtaining their pardon. So, if the two poor souls have a mind to marry, I think we can tack them together without crossing the tweed for it.
Joining their hands.
How blessed and unexpected! What can we say to such goodness? But our future obedience shall be the best reply. And as for this gentleman to whom we owe—
Excuse me, sir, if I interrupt your thanks, as I have here an interest that calls me.
Turning to Honeywood.
Yes, sir, you are surprised to see me, and I own that a desire of correcting your follies led me hither. I saw with indignation the errors of a mind that only sought applause from others, that easiness of disposition which, though inclined to the right, had not the courage to condemn the wrong. I saw with regret those splendid errors that still took name from some neighbouring duty. Your charity, that was but injustice; your benevolence, that was but weakness; and your friendship, but credulity. I saw with regret great talents and extensive learning only employed to add sprightliness to error, and increase your perplexities. I saw your mind with 1,000 natural charms, but the greatness of its beauty served only to heighten my pity for its prostitution.
Cease to upbraid me, sir. I have for some time but too strongly felt the justice of your reproaches. But there is one way still left me. Yes, sir, I have determined this very hour to quit forever a place where I have made myself the voluntary slave of all, and to seek among strangers that fortitude which may give strength to the mind, and marshal all its dissipated virtues. Yet, ere I depart, permit me to solicit favour for this gentleman, who, notwithstanding what has happened, has laid me under the most signal obligations. Mr. Lofty?
Mr. Honeywood, I'm resolved upon a reformation as well as you. I now begin to find that the man who first invented the art of speaking truth was a much cunninger fellow than I thought him. And to prove that I design to speak truth for the future, I must now assure you that you owe your late enlargement to another, as upon my soul I had no hand in the matter. So now, if any of the company has a mind for preferment, he may take my place. I'm determined to resign.
Exit.
How have I been deceived?
No, sir. You have been obligated to a kinder, fairer friend for that favour, to Miss Richmond. Would she complete our joy, and make the man she has honoured by her friendship happy in her love, I should then forget all, and be as blessed as the welfare of my dearest kinsman can make me.
After what is past, it would be but affection to pretend to indifference. Yes, I will own an attachment, which I will find was more than friendship. And if my entreaties cannot alter his resolution to quit the country, I will try, if his hand has not power to detain him.
Giving her hand.
Heavens! How have I deserved all this? How express my happiness, my gratitude? A moment like this overpays an age of apprehension.
Well, now I see content in every face. But heaven sent, we be all better this day 3 months.
Henceforth, nephew, learn to respect yourself. He who seeks only for applause from without has all his happiness in another's keeping.
Yes, sir, I now too plainly perceive my errors, my vanity, in attempting to please all by fearing to offend any, my meanness in approving folly lest fools should disapprove. Henceforth, therefore, it shall be my study to reserve my pity for real distress, my friendship for true merit, and my love for her, who first taught me what it is to be happy.
Exeunt omnes. End of Act 5. Epilogue to The Good-Natured Man. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Good-Natured Man by Oliver Goldsmith. Epilogue. As puffing quacks some caitiff wretch procure, to swear the pill or drop has wrought a cure, thus on the stage our playwrights still depend for epilogues and prologues on some friend who knows each art of coaxing up the town, and makes full many a bitter pill go down. Conscious of this, our bard has gone about and teased each rhyming friend to help him out. An epilogue! Things can't go on without it. It could not fail, would you but set about it. Young man, cries one, a bard laid up in clover, alas, young man, my writing days are over. Let boys play tricks and kick the straw, not I. Your brother doctor there, perhaps, may try. What, I, dear sir? The doctor interposes. What, plant my thistle, sir, among his roses? Oh, no, I've other contests to maintain. To-night I head our troops at Warwick Lane. Go ask your manager. Who, me? Your pardon. Those things are not our forte at Covent Garden. Our author's friends, thus placed at happy distance, give him good words indeed, but no assistance. As some unhappy wight, at some new play, at the pit door stands elbowing away, while oft, with many a smile and many a shrug, he eyes the centre where his friends sit snug. His simpering friends, with pleasure in their eyes, sink as he sinks, and as he rises, rise. He nods, they nod. He cringes, they grimace. But not a soul will budge to give him place. Since then, unhelped, our bard must now conform to bide the pelting of this pitiless storm. Blame where you must, be candid where you can, and be each critic the good-natured man. End of The Good-Natured Man by Oliver Goldsmith.